You're applying to data jobs and still not getting interviews after all of that hard work, especially after meticulously building those killer data portfolios and then even dipping your toes into some light networking to get invaluable feedback, then I have to tell you, your application assets are probably the core problem. This is going to be your cover letter, your resume, your LinkedIn. It's not going to be your skills. It's not your background. It's simply how you're presenting yourself to the people who make the hiring decisions. They see the tools that you use, not the problems that you solved or the impact that you created or the context of like, why does that matter? It makes you invisible. And even if you're incredibly talented. So in this video, we're going to fix that. You're applying to data jobs and still not getting interviews after all of that hard work, especially after meticulously building those killer data portfolios and then even dipping your toes into some light networking to get invaluable feedback, then I have to tell you, your application assets are probably the core problem. This is going to be your cover letter, your resume, your LinkedIn. It's not going to be your skills. It's not your background. It's simply how you're presenting yourself to the people who make the hiring decisions. They see the tools that you use, not the problems that you solved or the impact that you created or the context of like, why does that matter? It makes you invisible, and even if you're incredibly talented. So in this video, we're going to fix that. Hi, I'm Jeff, and I help career switchers and students skip the fluff and get hired faster using real-world projects, smart AI tools, and proven execution systems that actually work to get you your first data job. My mission is to help 10,000 people break into data analytics by sharing actionable weekly insights. So if you're serious about landing interviews and breaking into data, hit that subscribe button now so you don't miss any of the content, and that'll help you reach those goals. Back in the day, after successfully revamping my own resume, landing great roles, coworkers, friends of friends started coming to me for help. Why? Because my resumes that I rewrote started landing interviews, and not just any interviews, but at competitive companies, Fortune 500 companies, and even help with placements in competitive college grad programs. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly how I do it. This is step L. Level up your application assets in this video series of the Epic Launch video series, where we get you your first data job and how I would coach someone how to get there faster. This step is about optimizing your three key application assets, your resume, your cover letter, your LinkedIn profile, and we'll dive deepest into the resume in this video because it's the most important thing. I've seen people get hired based off of just this. So if you can understand how to write a good resume, these are going to be things that will translate into the rest of your writing. So I did not plan on becoming the resume guy. My journey just started because I had my own career. I was a marketing major. I learned a lot of better writing outside of college, especially for script writing, for YouTube. And then naturally, I revamped my resume to reflect my new skills and aspirations. I switched into data. And then into my surprise, combining all of these things together, I started getting more interviews, especially when I was transitioning into the role I'm at today as a business analyst consultant. And I was able to get multiple interviews and leverage the best offer that I wanted so negotiating for a higher rate. So soon after that, friends started asking for help, coworkers, friends of friends, and then eventually I was helping rewrite resumes for people I have never met before, based on just word of mouth referrals. And the reason they kept coming back is because I don't write resumes like most people do. So see, my secret weapon isn't a magical resume template or a secret keyword list. It comes from my background. I studied marketing in college, then I worked as a digital marketer, and then freelance as a copywriter, helping businesses sell products and services online. My job back then was to write words that convert. Emails that got opened, Facebook ads that got clicked, landing pages that made people buy or opt in. It was all about persuading someone to take an action. So when I looked at a resume, I didn't just see a list of job duties, chronological order. I saw a sales pitch. That shift in perspective changes everything. My background in copywriting taught me the number one rule of effective written persuasion. No one cares about your product. They care about what it does for them. And this directly applies to resumes. No one cares about you. They care about what you can do for them. Now, I know that sounds harsh. It's direct, but it's also incredibly freeing because once you understand that, you stop writing your resume like a dry biography and you start writing it like a solutions document. Your resume's ultimate job is not to tell your life story, it's to sell the idea that you can help your future boss win. It's about demonstrating your tangible value. So, what I always tell people is stop writing resumes from your perspective and start writing it from your future boss's perspective. What are they worried about? What KPIs, key performance indicators, do they care about? What specific challenges do they face? What tangible value do you bring to the table that makes their day better and helps them succeed? So let's look at a very simple example, but something that it's very common. This is a simple thing, but a bullet that I've seen way too often. Build reports in Excel. So what? Every analyst does that. Better, created weekly Excel reports that enabled finance leaders to catch budget overages 3 days earlier, minimizing potential penalties and optimizing cash flow that saved over 100,000 per quarter. You see the difference. This is where we're going to go in and explain CAT more often, but you get the context, you get the action, you also get the business translation. So now that you've seen how I think about resumes differently, you can approach it with my same mindset. Just that change in writing and perspective will make your resume, cover letter, LinkedIn, and everything else significantly better. So step one is going to be the brain dump. When I first started helping people rewrite their resumes, I used to ask for their work achievements, but I would constantly hear the same thing. Jeff, I don't have any work achievements. I don't do anything special. I just do my job. But once I would talk to them, I would dig a little bit deeper, probe with the right questions, and then it turns out they did have a ton of valuable experience. They just either forgot about it, or more commonly, they didn't think it was important enough to mention because it was just part of their job. So here is one thing that I always start with. I want you to list out every single thing that you've ever done in your role and your past roles that you're going to be putting into your resume. I don't care how small, how boring it feels, no filters, just free write and write as much as you can. I've had people tell me all I do is maintain this one report. Then I'd ask, what would happen if I was late? What happens if it was wrong? It can get escalated to legal if it's incorrect. That's huge. And then suddenly that boring task has more context to it. And now it has massive business implications. And it's not just tasks, it's also about hidden leadership. Have you ever led a project? De facto project manager, even though you didn't have the title for a specific project that was placed on your lap. Did you train someone new? Did you coordinate a team's efforts? Did you step in when your manager was out unexpectedly or when you didn't have a manager because they left for a different company? Step two, we're going to do a context audit next. Now that we dumped everything into a table, a list, Notion, a document, it's time to figure out what actually matters to a hiring manager. This is where most people stop short. So for every item that in that brain dump list, we're going to go one by one, and I start asking questions that most people never ask themselves. Things like, what was the ultimate purpose for this task or project? What problem was it trying to solve? Who uses it? What decisions are they trying to make based on your work? Who depended on it? What else would happen if you were late, wrong, or it never got done? What is the risk or the cost of failure? And what is the broadest business situation or the goal that your work contributed to? This is the moment where people start to realize how much of a difference they actually make and the impact that they have. And it doesn't just give them credit for them, it's a powerful shift in perspective. So here is the key. You're not just trying to remember what you did, you're trying to understand the business context around it. This audit doesn't just help you talk through your experience better, it makes you see your own value clearly and often for the first time. Now, step three, we're going to go over the CAT method rewrite. So here's a simple and powerful and universally applicable framework that you can use for a lot of different things. First is C, context. What was the business problem, the situation, the goal you were addressing? What was the why? What happened? What was the issue? Was there something pressing? Was there a matter from legal? Did it come in from a client? Was there a big mess up and you had to have a meeting with upper management and have a war room? Why is this important? This is something that people don't add. They just add in what they did. Sometimes they add in the results, but sometimes there's too much jargon in there and we can't understand what is the context of why this applies to me and why this is important for you applying into this role. So you want to think about that. Do they have enough information in context to understand the importance of your action and the business results? A is just the action. This is a little bit more straightforward. What did you do specifically using the tools and skills? How did you solve or improve it? What was your logic, your reasoning? What did you do? Next is T, third part, which is translation. What changed as a result? What was the quantifiable outcome or impact? Every bullet needs to pass the so what test. If I read it and I don't immediately understand what the value and impact is, it's not done yet. It needs another pass, and it needs to be understood by someone who's not in your industry, your department, and it's just someone just reading it. So think of their non-technical recruiters as well. So for my own resume, back in the day, I would have wrote something similar to this, which is build reporting tools for member services and customer support. That's great, but what did that actually achieve? Now, if we apply this method, the C.A.T method to this would be automated workflows using Microsoft Access and advanced Excel automation in VBA that reduce manual reporting efforts by 50%, saving customer service and member services 5 to 10 hours per week, improving data consistency and reducing member appeals and grievances. Now that we understand the why, the how, and most importantly, the measurable results, it tells a complete story in one consistent line. Now, step 4, we're going to start rebuilding your resume. And I didn't just format my resume for readability. I structure people's resumes and my resumes specifically for maximum impact visibility in 3 critical ways. So recruiters can easily find you in their databases so that ATS, applicant tracking systems, don't filter you out automatically even before any human sees it. And third, so that hiring managers can immediately see your value, even if they're just skimming for 6 to 10 seconds, which is oftentimes all you get. So I build that structure into the resume right up front before they scroll, before they guess. So here's what the top of my thing looks like. First is going to be this professional profile section. And the first thing that you're going to see is the headline, which is prime real estate. This is basically the job description. You're going to adjust, or the job title, you're going to adjust your main job title to clearly match the role that you're targeting, like data analyst, business intelligence analyst, healthcare data analyst. This is the first keywords that recruiters and ATS systems scan for, so make it count. Don't be vague. And then underneath that little title, I have an SEO keyword row, which is basically search engine optimization. Again, you want to think of LinkedIn as a search engine for recruiters. So you want to add in those highly relevant keywords underneath, but it's also a description of your experience at a glance. So underneath that, I add in a concise list of long tail, high intent keywords. These are specific industry terms, specialized domain phrases, and technical capabilities that hiring managers and recruiters are actively searching for. Then after that, is the professional summary. This is like the objective summary, the objective statement. You'll hear it labeled as different things. Brief, impactful, 2 to 3 line introduction that tells them who you are, what you specialize in, how much experience you have, what value you bring. You want to think about it as your elevator pitch for your resume, specifically targeted for the role that you're applying for. You want to entice their and pique their interest enough to get you in for an interview. Now, underneath this, I'll just do quick bullets for my areas of expertise. So here we go deeper into functional skills. This is going to be a grid or a list of targeted skill phrases that expand on the keywords above. Yes, it's kind of different from what you focused on at the top. It's just another way to add in more of your skills and your specialties within this area. And then after that, technical proficiency. This is where we get tool specific. We list the actual software, languages, and systems that you've used clearly and precisely. For top tech companies as well, it's not just going to be the tools that you use, but you're going to imply how you use them as well. Group them logically into different categories so it's easy for them to scan and understand if you can do the job. One of our sister teams, all they really care about is if you can just create templates and you have advanced understanding of Excel formulas and can create models for automation. If you put Excel modeling and template-based automation in advanced formulas using XLOOKUP, VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, and then you added other things in there, including advanced querying, they would love that. They would just look at that, and then I know the hiring manager on that side, they would just be like, that's enough to do the job that we need. So you have to think about it in that sense, like what are they looking for specifically? And then you want to tailor this section, even though it seems very small, to what they're looking for. Once the top half of the resume has done its job, or it's like 1/3, you're gonna and grab your attention and see like, okay, they can do what we need them to do. They meet the bare minimum requirements. Now we're gonna bring in one of the most important sections. I think is the most important section. This is section I believe has gotten people jobs based on my conversations with them. This is where you're gonna highlight your most impressive business impacting wins that we pulled from the brain dump and the CAT process earlier. They go right here prominently before your job history because we want to hook the reader fast with quantifiable results because they may not read anything else in your resume. Immediately prove your value with problem solving ability up front, and then give them a compelling reason to keep reading the rest of your resume. And then after that, we finally get to the work experience, your details. The remaining achievements, the ones that further support your story or give useful context for your roles, your daily tasks that aren't as impressive as your career achievements or your top performance goals and results, you're just going to be placing underneath your work experience. And then you modify it so that it can fit. Future Jeff here. I forgot to mention the next sections after this, after your work experience. They're going to be projects, your certifications, education, awards, activity and affiliations, references, and then anything else that makes you stand out, you're going to include here. Also, order it by highest impact. So you always want to feature these sections in the order of the greatest impact it will have on your hiring managers, recruiters, and anyone else who's going to see your resume. So just think about that. In the future video, I'm going to be covering different template designs. You just want the template design to be clean and easy for people to read, but also make you stand out from all the other resumes that they're going to be potentially getting. We'll cover that more in a future video, but right now it's just going to be the quality of the writing and the content that you have on your resume. And this entire format isn't just designed for clarity, it's designed and engineered to convert. It's to convert into getting you into an interview. Everything that you learned about your resume now applies to your LinkedIn, to your cover letter, and then you can just use AI to help you with that using this base foundational knowledge. So that I'm not going to dive into that because I've created a few videos on that. I'll link them below. But basically, you just applied the same framework, everything that we did here, but just apply it to your cover letter and then apply it to your LinkedIn. In the next video, we're going to move into step A, which is apply strategically, where we talk about how to stop blindly spraying your resume everywhere and instead apply strategically so you can actually get better results and not waste your effort. So until then, query responsibly. And if you missed any of the steps inside this video series, watch this playlist now. And until then, query responsibly, and I'll see you in the next video.